Alright, what's going on, guys? I just got done watching 13 Sins, and let's get into it. So, this is a film directed by Daniel Stamm, who also directed The Last Exorcism. It was released theatrically in the United States on April 18th, 2014. It is currently available on Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Vudu if you have any of those services. And little known fact, this was a remake of a 2006 Thai horror comedy titled 13 Beloved. So 13 Sins is a film that follows Elliot Brindle, played by Mark Webber, after he receives a mysterious call from an unknown number. At the time being, Elliot is struggling mightily with his bills and has a baby on the way and a wedding to pay for. Luckily for him, however, he has been given a chance to play a game that he can earn up to $6 million if he completes all 13 challenges. As the game progresses, however, the tasks get continuously darker. To start out with the story of this film, it's not entirely unique, I wouldn't say. However, there are some unique points to it. There is uniqueness in it. If you've ever seen the movie Would You Rather, which is also available on Netflix, by the way, I know I talk a lot about Netflix. It's because I'm broke and I can't afford to go to the movies a lot. However, I'll try to get more reviews on new and current movies, but that's besides the point. Anyways, if you've ever seen Would You Rather, basically it follows a girl who desperately needs money to pay for her brother's surgery slash medical bills because her brother is dying of cancer. She gets an opportunity to go to this dinner party, and in this at this dinner party, she realizes that it's a game of would you rather. Would you rather do this? It continuously gets darker, disturbing. She has to do more and more horrible things in order to earn this money. And at the end of the game, there's one winner. Um, I'll spoil the ending real quick. So if you want to see that and you haven't seen the movie, skip like 10 seconds past. But what ends up happening in the end is her brother ends up killing himself when she gets home. So it's kind of like she did all that for nothing. But anyway, back to this movie. So it kind of has a similar vibe to it. Basically, you have a main character who is Elliot, played by Mark Webber, like I said before, and he's desperate for money. He has a lot of people depending on him. He has his father telling him that he's a failure all his life and he's broke, yada yada yada. So he gets this opportunity, and the struggle, and what they say, grief does weird things to people. It causes people to do strange things. It's kind of this way, except it's desperation. When people get desperate enough to a certain point, you never know what they're capable of and what they're willing to do. One of the only flaws I have, one of the only flaws this movie has, one of the only things that I can see I wasn't a huge fan of, is it kind of has to do with the story. Also, just kind of an execution part. I'm not a huge fan of the way they handled each individual task because I felt like obviously the movie is titled 13 Sins. He has 13 challenges he needs to accomplish in order to get this money at the end. I wish they would have individualized more of these. There's some challenges, I'm not going to give every single one away. I will get into a little bit more spoilers at the end of the video, but for now, like I said, there's some where it's like, okay, do this. He does this like one little easy thing, and now it's like, okay, now with this, do something that's like horrible or bad. So I think if they would have individualized these more, like I said, I think it would have made them more interesting. Um, and all the entire while he was doing these challenges, he continued to get phone calls with a ringtone that was like the circus, like dun 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 dun, dun, that thing. He continued to get calls to his phone from some random guy who was running this game to tell him what his next challenge was, tell him how much money he just won, and every time he got the phone call, to make sure that he just did it, he checked his bank account to make sure he was getting the money, and it just led him to just keep going. The main reason why he didn't stop once he had to start doing these horrible things is because if you stop, if you quit, the game is over, you lose all your money. So he figured he came this far, he might as well finish. Also, he knows how much money $6 million is and how much it would mean to him. As far as the acting in this film, very good, very believable, and there's also a featured role from Ron Perlman. So if you guys have ever seen the Hellboy movies, as far as I know, he is Hellboy in all of them. I know in the first one he is, at least. I've never seen the full Hellboy before. I watched a little bit of it, but I figured you guys would probably know who he is. One thing I am a huge fan of as far as the writing in this movie goes is whenever you write a script for a film, whenever you write a story in general, you want all of your characters to feel like they have purpose. If you're trying to get a certain message across in the end, you want all of them to contribute to it. You don't want characters that are static, that don't mean anything, that don't do anything, they're just there. That's what extras are for. So if you have a character and you try to give them backstory, you give them dialogue, and they have interactions with other characters and they don't mean anything in the end, it's very pointless. Then you didn't really need that person in the first place. This movie makes good use of all of its characters. Elliot, obviously, he's the main one, and it's not just like he has his family, because in this movie it's his brother, his father, his wife, and then kind of like his in-laws, like his wife's parents or whatever. All of them basically serve a purpose, as I said before, to not only the movie, the story, but the game, because the game is what this is centered around. Even Ron Perlman's character, which I don't want to spoil this, may have spoiled in the end, even he serves a purpose to the game. And if you stick around to the end, or if you watch the movie, you'll see what I mean. I also like the fact that there was a little bit of backstory, but it wasn't like, we need to show you flashbacks of what happened to Elliot when he was 7, when they went on a picnic and he got stung, like he got stung by a bee. Like there was no pointless backstory. It wasn't overly done. There was enough solid background information to get a feel for what the characters were. And as the movie went on, Elliot specifically, but everyone in the beginning was presented to you in a way of, this is what the character is, and this is the challenge they are facing, or this is how they relate to Elliot and this overall game. As far as the visuals or effects, um, very solid in this movie. There wasn't really much of anything, to be honest, besides blood and gore. There wasn't any monsters, no paranormal stuff. A lot of the things that he was challenged to do, I don't want to say normal things, but they weren't too catastrophic. The scenes and the challenges that did show death, gore, whatever, I thought it was believable. I thought it was good, solid. I didn't have any problem with that. Usually, when movies are theatrically released, the effects are going to be good, whether they are digital and they're very doctored up. It's going to look good because obviously you got these big companies behind these movies that are throwing a ton of money at them to make sure that the stuff is good, or you're going to have practical effects such as, which I reference this movie a lot because it's my favorite, but Hereditary and Ari Aster, who uses practical effects. So either way, the effects in this movie were good. I didn't see any technical flaws as far as that goes. So another check for that. I mentioned Would You Rather earlier in the video, as far as this movie really reminds me of Would You Rather, due to the fact that a player has to play a game. I guess it's kind of like Saw 2, except I guess it's kind of like Saw, except to me it's different because in Saw it was more of you're trapped in this space. In order to get out, or in order to win, you have to do like these like bad tasks, and you really couldn't decide not to do it. This film is different because Elliot did have a choice. If he technically had a choice. I mean, he literally had a choice. But most people in that situation would say, I don't have a choice because I don't want to continue to be poor and be struggling. But it's not like if he decided to stop playing the game or if he refused to do these tasks, he would have died. So that's a difference. But anyway, this is also similar to the movie Truth or Dare, if you guys have seen it. Now there's two Truth or Dares that recently came out. I think they both came out in 2018, as a matter of fact. I know for a fact the one that was in theaters came out in 2018. Um, wasn't the best movie, but at the same time, I didn't think it was as bad as everyone said. I thought it was a fun movie. There was also a Netflix, I don't know if it was a Netflix original, but there was also a Netflix Truth or Dare, and that was better in my opinion. So I think both of them had a similar plot line to this movie, and once you are entered in this game, once you start this game, it will follow you no matter what you do. You can't escape it. You can't get rid of it. You have to complete the game in order to move on, in order to survive. And it's kind of like throughout the movies, another thing that's similar throughout the movies, they meet people who have played this game before. Elliot unknowingly meets people, without spoiling anything, who have played this game before. In the other movie, they didn't know that. They had to go seek out and find these people. So, to wrap everything up, I'm going to give my overall score for this movie a 4 out of 5. To be honest and to be blunt, this was a very fun, easy to watch movie. There's not anything too complicated, too sophisticated about this movie. It's very upfront, it's transparent, it's a good, fun movie. I would consider this more of a drama, thriller, slash horror film instead of just horror. However, there's definitely horror elements in it, so I can understand why it was categorized that way. But like I said, if you like movies, kind of similar to my top 10 videos when I was talking about, The Invitation, how that was a horror film that had drama thriller elements as far as, you know, the action kind of parts go. This is very similar to that in um, if you like the action thriller elements and also a little bit of horror, this is a good film for you. So if you want to see this and you haven't yet, you don't want anything spoiled for you, click off of the video right now. But real quick, I'll just talk about the ending and the twist. So at the very end of the movie, he finds out that Elliot finds out that someone else is playing the game along with him, and it ends up being his brother. And ironically, the final task for him to win the 6 million plus prize is to kill a family member. And his brother is on task 13 also, so they both need to kill a family member. They end up meeting at his father's house, and they're both like, Elliot went there to defend his dad because he thought someone was going to kill him, and his brother is there because he was going to kill their father. So they're kind of having a weird little standoff. The father ends up telling them that he played the game himself, and tells them that they need to get out of the game, they need to get away from it. So he says, I can't help you win, but I can stop you from winning. And he slits his throat, kills himself, and they don't have an opportunity to kill him anymore to finish the game. So Elliot's brother ends up reaching in his bag for his gun to kill Elliot to end the game. And right before he can do that, Elliot shoots and kills him. So he ends up winning the full prize money. However, Ron Perlman, as I mentioned before, who is like the detective, he's like the lead detective, who is actually in on the game. He's actually like an employee of the game. He goes to the house to investigate. He's talking to the people that run this whole operation. And Elliot catches on to this, shoots and kills him, thus losing all of his prize money that he just earned due to killing a member of the game. And it's funny how it's like full circle, how it starts out as Elliot desperately trying to earn all of this money. Once he earns all the money, he realizes that he doesn't want any of this or anything that comes with it, and loses it all. So, but like I said, overall, that was a real good movie. So thank you guys again for watching. Stay tuned. I will try to post a video every week, and hopefully next week I can have a video about a new and current movie that's out right now. So be on the lookout for that, and have a good one.